The High School Musical trilogy is a Disney movie franchise from the mid to late 2000s. It follows high schoolers Troy Bolton and Gabriella Montez as they navigate the difficulties of being teenagers and figuring out what they want to do with their futures. Many people hold these movies in high regard as fun, nostalgic, and innocent sing-alongs. But what if I told you something far more sinister was happening in the hallways of East High? Whenever I watched High School Musical, I always wondered, do the characters know that they're in a musical? I'm not talking about the musicals that they put on in the auditorium. I'm talking about when they suddenly break into song and dance when they're in the hallways or in the classroom or wherever else. Usually in these musicals, the musical scenes are only visible to the audience, but High School Musical seems different. Their musical sequences seem to have a physical effect on the world. Let me show you what I mean. Looking at High School Musical 3, immediately after the I Want It All sequence, Sharpay and Ryan can still be seen posing and out of breath, as if they really performed that entire song and dance routine. But Ryan and Sharpay are performers, so it kind of makes sense that they would sing and dance in front of the entire school. Things start to make a little less sense when we look at Stick to the Status Quo. When one of the skateboarders mentions wanting to play the cello, he is empty-handed, but when we cut back to him a few seconds later, he pulls a giant cello from out of nowhere. I get that it's common for random props to appear in these musical sequences, but what's more intriguing is the fact that he still has the cello after the song ends. This suggests that High School Musical operates on a different set of rules from a standard musical. Maybe it's a world where these musical moments actually happen and no one questions them because it's just normal in this universe. But then we have someone like Chad who acts like singing and dancing is stupid, yet he breaks into song and dance himself. He literally has a song called I Don't Dance that he sings while dancing. This implies that the musical sequences are happening, but the characters are unaware of them. Except things get a little bit more interesting when we take a look at Gabriella. Looking back at Stick to the Status Quo, towards the end of the number, Gabriella walks into the cafeteria. She looks visibly confused and is physically having to move around all the dancers and dance moves. She seems aware of the musical sequence happening around her, but she isn't participating for some reason. Gabriella is the new girl in the first movie, and as the new girl, she doesn't participate in any non-diegetic musical sequences at first. For those that don't know, non-diegetic music is just music that characters aren't supposed to be aware of, so technically, Stick to the Status Quo would be a non-diegetic song because the characters aren't supposed to know that it's happening. In the first half of the movie, she only sings in non-diegetic scenes, like the New Year's karaoke or the audition in the musical. It isn't until 2/3 into the first movie that she sings When There Was Me and You, which only happens after she's heartbroken by Troy and has spent a significant amount of time at East High. With this in mind, I believe that there's something supernatural at play that causes students at East High to unknowingly and unwillingly break into these musical sequences. But because Gabriella was new, it took some time for her to be affected by this supernatural force, making her aware and confused by others breaking into song and dance until the force fully overtook her. As long as the students are at school, they will be under the force's control. In 2011, Disney released a spin-off that follows Sharpay as she moves to New York. What's really strange about this movie is that it's not a musical. There are songs, but they're all diegetic performances on stage. High School Musical was so popular, it not only changed the way Disney made movies, but it also launched a new era of Disney music. After all of that success, it feels bizarre for a musical franchise to suddenly stop being a musical, especially when it stars the character most known for dramatic over-the-top musical sequences. So the only reasonable explanation for this is that she's too far from East High to be under its influence. There are musical scenes outside of East High, like in High School Musical 2 at the country club, but that's still in Albuquerque. I like to think the power works similarly to how Pennywise's powers work in It. Pennywise is bound to Derry, so as long as the kids stay there, they will be vulnerable to his power. So once an East High student leaves Albuquerque, they are no longer vulnerable to the school's influence. But what about Gabriella going to Stanford, California? They explicitly state it's 1,053 miles from East High. Admittedly, The theory does kind of fall apart when you remember that while at Stanford, Troy and Gabriella perform a non-diegetic song, until you realize that they never left to begin with. During their song, they suddenly teleport back to East High, surrounded by their friends, presumably at prom. This suggests that Gabriella never left East High. Stick with me here. Gabriella tries to outsmart the Force by going to Stanford, but realizing she may no longer be under its control, the Force tricks her by creating a fantasy sequence of Stanford to keep her at East High, until Troy arrives to convince her to return. The cutaways to the gym could be the only real thing happening during that song. At 51 minutes and 6 seconds in High School Musical, Sharpay hears Gabriella singing in the bathroom, but when she enters, nobody's there. After Sharpay leaves, Gabriella is revealed to be hiding behind a wall where she should have been visible. This suggests the Force made her invisible so Sharpay wouldn't stop her from singing, and the manipulation doesn't just stop there. The Force will go to extreme lengths to keep students under its influence, even if that means breaking logic or continuity. Characters seem to reset their development from previous films. For example, at the end of High School Musical 1, Troy learns that he doesn't need to conform to others' expectations and embrace his singing, yet at the start of High School Musical 2 and 3, he seems to have forgotten this lesson. In High School Musical 2, he's reluctant to join the country club talent show, saying,
"My singing career began and ended with the East High Winter Musical."
Similarly, in High School Musical 3, he's scared to apply to colleges due to the pressure from Chad and his father to become a basketball player. It's as if the lessons he learned from the previous movies vanished. Throughout the movies, there are direct hints that characters are losing memories. In High School Musical 1, when we first see Miss Darbus' classroom, we catch a snippet of a conversation between Troy and a classmate.
Do you remember the night before? No, not at all. All I remember is like pink jelly.
This is proof that Troy has first-hand experience with memory loss, although the pink jelly was never explained. At this point, it's pretty clear the supernatural force is causing all these characters to forget things and reset their development. But why? Because all of the non-diegetic musical sequences are brought on by a character wanting to express some kind of conflict or emotion. If there was no conflict, then there would be no reason for people to sing. Inner conflict is what fuels the supernatural force. Remember, Gabriella didn't sing a non-diegetic song until she got her heart broken by Troy in High School Musical 1. Her emotional inner conflict was the catalyst for her to begin singing. The Force doesn't want these characters to leave or permanently grow because then it wouldn't be able to exert its power over them. So that brings me to the final, most important question you've probably all been wondering. What exactly is this force? I think all the answers lie with one person, Miss Darbus. Miss Darbus is East High's homeroom and drama teacher and takes drama very seriously. She desperately wants her students to embrace the musical arts and express themselves. If there really is some kind of supernatural force causing people to sing about their emotions and conflicts, I think there's a pretty good chance she knows about it. She constantly talks about her theater as if it has some kind of magical or holy power. She even has a few direct quotes saying,
"The theater is a temple of art, a precious cornucopia of creative energy. This is where the true expression of the artist is realized, where inner truth is revealed through the actor's journey. Proximity to the arts is cleansing for the soul."
Kinda sounds a lot like someone talking about exactly what is happening to kids at this school. All of their inner truths are being forced out by this supernatural force. Towards the end of High School Musical 3, Troy sneaks into the school at night to do some thinking. This is when he sings the song Scream. The song ends in the auditorium where he realizes Miss Darbus has been sitting there the whole time. She asks him what he's doing there and they have this exchange.
"I am trying to rebalance a show, and the reason for your visit is?"
I don't know. I think I feel like this is a good place to...
Scream?
Or just to think.
The stage can be a wonderful partner in the process of self-discovery. You seem very comfortable up there.
Miss Darbus references the song that he just sang, but Troy being totally unaware of the forced musical scene, corrects her and says he just came here to think. She is clearly aware of the musical sequences. And if you pay close attention, Darbus is constantly secretly manipulating students just like the Force does. In High School Musical 1, she moves the callback date to the exact same day as Troy's basketball game and Gabriella's scholastic decathlon. And it's never really explained why she does this, but it definitely does increase the inner emotional conflict of the characters. Then in High School Musical 3, she reveals that she secretly applied Troy to get the Juilliard scholarship. Again, this only increased his inner conflict of choosing between basketball and theater, and ultimately led to more non-diegetic songs from the Force. So who is Miss Darbus really? When Troy asked Miss Darbus why she applied him to Juilliard, she replies with,
Better to consider opportunities now than in 10 years when life may limit your choices.
It kind of sounds like she's speaking from personal experience, right? But what exactly limited her choices? What's preventing her from going out and having a successful theater career? But wait a second, why was Miss Darbus just randomly hanging out in the auditorium alone late at night? She claims it's just to get some work done, but why in a dark auditorium instead of, I don't know, maybe her house? I mean, come to think of it, we never really see Miss Darbus leave the school. The closest we get is her standing outside during graduation, but that's still on East High's campus. Could Miss Darbus be a ghost? Nah, that's stupid, right? Unless the reason why life limited Miss Darbus's choices was because she died. I mean, she talks like she's from an older time, and there's even a scene that proves that she hates cell phones. I think the reason why the school has this strange power is because Miss Darbus is haunting it, forcing everyone to be a part of the musical arts. 28 minutes into High School Musical 1, during auditions, she even says,
What courage to pursue a note that has not been accessed in the natural world.
How would she know that unless she has access to the supernatural world? I think all of this is still a little bit too unbelievable, right? Other than the fantasy musical sequences, High School Musical is just a normal, grounded teen drama. Except for the fact that High School Musical 3 was originally going to be called Haunted High School Musical and was supposed to be about ghost haunting the school. This hidden subplot was planned from the start, but it got scrapped, and we can still see hidden clues of it in the background.